This is an open letter to Mr. Scott Bessent. I believe your name is. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Um, Bravo, sir. Bravo. You have, achieved the heights of success, and you have been given a very high position in your government, and I guess you know what's what. So congratulations, bravo. But here's the thing, Mr. Scott Bessent. I understand, as all of us have been told through the media, social media, that you are the chief. You are the chief financial officer, commerce officer of Uncle Sam's business now. And so I thought, I'm a nobody, I'm an asshole in the middle of nowhere. But I thought, my 2 cents, it's my 2 cents. I like to put it in. Hope it doesn't get me in more trouble than I am already in. But here's my 2 cents, sir. With all due respect, I understand you're the chief. You're very close to God. So, with all due respect, here's the thing, sir. Salute. Here's the thing, sir. I heard a few clips of you on the internet, this neural network that is covering the whole planet. I heard you that yes, we're going to adopt these policies, blah 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 blah, to make Iran poor again. And then you correct yourself, as most usually do, trying to correct it. It's like, oh no, we don't mean the Iranians, we mean the Iranian government. You know, and I know that that's not the case. The people suffer, and apparently you guys are okay with that. Why are you okay with that? I'm not sure why. Because the whole idea is simple. You want to make an Iraq out of Iran, or you want to take Iraq out of Iran. What has happened to Iraq is basically the people don't see the oil money. Oil money goes to New York City, and white people in New York get to benefit from the wealth that is coming their way through the sales of Iraqi oil. And the Iraq brings you some invoices for parts and labor that they need. And you are the boys at the Wall Street, your boys, rich white folks, rich pink skins, get to decide whether those invoices are true or lies, or whether how much they should how much allowance should they provide Iraq. Some white people, some pink skins in New York, your boys. That was the whole point. So during the process of getting to this point, because right now you don't have any issues with Iraq. Iraq is good because all the money you collect in New York from their resources. Saudi Arabia is good because they themselves send all their money to New York Stock Exchange to invest in with the pink skins, rich pink skins. Dubai is good because the same, they know who's the boss and they pay up. Although a lot of their people living in poverty. Not Dubai, because it's a population of like 5 million who's selling as much oil as Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, 40%, 50% of population are living below poverty line, which you guys don't talk about. That's their money that's coming to New York City. The people of Saudi Arabia, 50%, are about the poverty line, and their head is always potentially on the literal chopping block. If they protest, their heads goes on the chopping block, and you don't mind that, as long as the Saudi family knows that they have to take their money, the dollars that you print and give to them, they have to bring it back to the boys in New York. That's the whole point, sir, isn't it? And if these local shithead don't bring the money to us themselves and invest with us pinkskins, rich pinkskins, if they don't do that, then they'll become bad guys overnight, and we have to go and save their people and bring democracy to their people and bring Christianity to their people and bring civilization to their people and bring all kinds of goodies to their people. The facade. But the point is, we bring them Jesus, and then we take the oil money. We bring them democracy, and then we take the oil money. You have a lot of things you offer, things that nobody asked for. In your as a imagine a gangster who has a bunch of cheap watches to sell, and every week the people that he charges, they have to buy these cheap ass watches for an exaggerated price because the gangster needs to get paid. So it's an exaggerated price, which apparently Uncle Sam's taxpayers also don't mind paying. So military industrial complex, best business in the world. They're forced to buy, and the taxpayers also don't know any better. We keep scaring the shit out of them that all over the world, everybody's an enemy. Everybody's a potentially bad. If they're not white, especially, they're potentially a bad actor. Have you noticed that, all these bad actors are those brown and black and red and green tribes? The bad actors are always them, not me. My pink skins. Oof. We are not only white, which is the best color, we are also Christian. And this is the BS that you feed your public, pink skin public, who are 90% decent people. This is the 10% rich society of pink skins are trying to fuck the rest of the world. Both their own people as well as the brown and the black and the red and the green and everybody else. It's you. This is a you problem. This is not a us problem. The brown and the black and the red and the greens and your own 90% of your own pink skin population. This is a you problem. You want to collect tax from Baghdad? You're sitting in Washington, D.C., and you're sitting in New York, and you think you're entitled to collect oil money from Baghdad. Oil money that is coming out of ground literally on the other side of the planet. I guess 12-hour time difference makes it exactly on the other side of the planet. I think we have a 12-hour time difference. My point is, I think you have a 12-hour time difference with Baghdad. So literally the money from the other side of the planet has to find its way to New York City. And that is the only way to go, and that's what makes it right. And anybody who doesn't follow this procedure, whether the Saudis who willingly bring their money to Uncle Sam's managers, or Iraq which is forced to bring their money to Uncle Sam's managers. Everybody has to bring their money to the 10% rich people in New York City. So when you say we are going to make Afghanistan poor, we're going to make Pakistan poor, who's next? Pakistan. Because it's just, you keep tripping these over one by one. And then once you reach the end, you start over again. Some of these old ones have got some ideas about independence, and suddenly they're bad guys again. So it goes round and round around the circle. Pay up or you're a bad guy. We have to smash you. Hawk smash. You pay or hog smash. Who's the hog? Is Israel. Israel is the hawk. They just killed 140,000 brown people because they weren't willing to give up their real estate to literal New Yorkers, because these brown Arabs had the audacity not to willingly give up their real estate in East Mediterranean to a bunch of New Yorkers, literal New Yorkers. They're Jewish, they're Christian Zionists, they're just New York, they're white people from New York. Now the Iraqi oil money has to find its way to New York, and New Yorkers have to find their way in a good weather kind of environment on Eastern Mediterranean. You send us your money and we send you our unwanted, our hitman. You send us your money and we send you our hitman. And we arm the hitman really well. So nobody can blame us for hitting you. It's Israel who's hitting you. But be careful, if you hit Israel back, we're going to get involved. Oh? So you're not two different entities. You are Israel, Israel is you. It's just not a declared state of being. It's undeclared. It's the 51st state. They've normalized it, the flag of Israel, in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Sort of like, this is a flag of America, this is a flag of Israel. Normalized it. Unofficially the 51st state. Why? Because they're your hitman. You don't arm them, they can't shoot. That makes them you. In reality, you're one entity, pretending to be two entities. It's sort of like, the old, joke that, you hit the guy in the face and you tell the guy, it wasn't me, it was my arm. Salute. You're trying to make anybody who's not taking their money to New York City and, bending over and giving it with both hands to people like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett has stocked up on Occidental petroleum. He's been doing it for some time now. So what? Let's make the brown people over there poor. It was Iraq, Syria, Iran, Algeria, who cares? Let them make them people poor by hitting their oil business with sanctions, if it doesn't work, with bombs, to cripple them so we can make Warren Buffett rich, because he's a big shareholder in Occidental Petroleum. Why? Because we are right and they're wrong. They're bad actors. Sir, anybody who doesn't bend over and take it up the ass from you becomes a bad actor. Anybody. We will it into being that you have to bend over and take it up the ass. If not, you're a bad guy. You have to bring your money that you make from your natural resource. You have to bring your money and put it either in the city of London or in New York financial district, so we can get our beak wet from the oil that is coming out of the ground on the other side of this planet. I'm an alien here. I'm seeing it planet-wise. It seems you feel all the resources on the planet actually belongs to you. Who is you? About 1%, 2% of the pink skin society who own all the wealth in the West. Don't tell you're willing to take your six-pack Joes to go and fight for this money, and just tell Joe that we are fighting bad actors. And they're asking for more babies because they're looking for cannon fodder. They're looking for literally these rich people who have hogged all the wealth, and they keep sending people like you, I guess, sir, with all due respect. They keep sending, I'm sure you're also very wealthy and you care very much for money. And unfortunately, you're doing all this for money. Sort of like, yeah, they have to become poor because they're bad actors. Why they're bad actors? Because they don't think we New Yorkers should have some real estate in Asia, owned and operated. Literally, white Ashkenazi folks from New York have become the majority of who don't really have to declare that they're Jewish or they're Orthodox or they, in fact, apparently Israel prefers not to attract too many Orthodox Jewish people to Israel. They want secular. What is the secular? What is the difference between the secular Jewish guy and the secular Christian guy? Nothing. There is no difference. As far as I can see, Mr. Jon Stewart and Mr. Stephen Colbert could be brothers, could be cousins. Their tone of skin, at least, is the same. And they come from more or less the same, background culture of, Europeanish. Because of especially the language barrier that creates these kind of boundaries on your planet. So they're both more comfortable with Shakespeare than they are with Khayyam. You see, they're both more comfortable. Of course, you pronounce it Khayyam. He's a poet. Was a poet. Shakespeare, yes. Khayyam, no. So this is the whole idea of we are different. That makes us better. We are white. We are rich white people. We have the right to go after our wealth. Try to make ourselves wealthier. We are rich. We are 5%, 10% of the society in the West. We are rich and we are white. We feel we have the right to invade Ukraine. This was an invasion of NATO, arming a bunch of crazy Ukrainians, arming a small group of Ukrainians, and then forcing that small group of Ukrainians, telling that small group of Ukrainians who are crazy, who want to, commit suicide next to Russia, you tell them to, force the rest of the population to go and fight. And if you don't fight, you're not a patriot. Because, again, we have to find our way towards more wealth. Me as Scott Bessent and my friends, Mr. Warren Buffett and, Diamond this and Jade that, these very precious individuals, they want to become even more precious, friends, your friends and family. They're precious and they want to become more precious by accumulating more wealth. So we have to find bad actors who don't think that we deserve to be even more wealthier than we already are. Anybody who thinks that I have enough wealth and I shouldn't be looking after their wealth, that's a bad actor. We have to go show them otherwise so I can get my hand on their wealth. i.e., Iraq sells oil and the money has to pass through New York City. Pass through? No, it goes to New York City and then, as per their need, checks are written. Salute. You got another Puerto Rico in Middle East. Syria, another Puerto Rico in Middle East, another Iraq, another Puerto Rico, another Samoa. You just want territories. And you only value those territories if they're the majority are white people. Australia is good because the majority are white people. Canada is good because the majority are white people. Europe is good because the majority are white people. when we say white people, I mean white come from white. They're white, actually, they're pink, and they come from the European culture and mostly, English-speaking world. And you don't, again, this language barrier means that a lot of European countries who don't speak English, they're also, we have to get to know each other. We're not automatically brothers. But then the British makes same language, same English cultural background, educational background, makes you blood brothers. The 5 eyes. Sort of like beside these 5 eyes, we respect these 5 eyes. We have, we are all abide by the Magna Carta, and we believe that, white people deserve to have, some kind of legal protection, even if they're not rich. But then the rest of the world is fair game. It's like, no, they have no rights. They have rights only if we give it to them. But automatically brown people, black people, red people, green people, they don't have any rights until we give it to them. How will we give them rights? If they are willing to take their money, keep their own people poor, but take their own money and invest it with pink skins in New York. If they are willing to do that, keep their own people hungry, but take their money, come and invest it in New York City with us, the 10% rich people of our society. If they're willing to do that, then they're good guys. They can stay. Anybody who doesn't pay up has to go. It's a bad actor. And it's sort of like nobody questions, I'm sorry, could you please tell us why bad actors? They're arming the natives who don't want to give up their lands to the Europeans. They're arming some Asians who don't want to give the land to the Europeans. Isn't that exactly what the Chinese were doing with the Koreans? The Chinese were doing with the Vietnamese? The Chinese were doing with the Cambodians? They have to, or else pink skins want to take over. Some other countries inside that Asian continent have to some kind of help. They have the obligation of helping anybody who's native to that land, Asia, if they're being overrun by Europeans, because they believe they're going to be next. As we can see, Israel starts, keep pushing over country after country after country and moving inland. First it was pushing over Jordan and Egypt and Lebanon, then pushing over Syria, then pushing over Iraq, then pushing over Syria. Now let's go push over Iran. You want everybody's money. Mr. Scott Bessent, we already, philosophers already have figured out that if you don't control your insatiable appetite for wealth, it doesn't control itself. Wealth and power is one of those things that if you don't control it, if you don't show some kind of restraint yourself, it doesn't have any control. It will take over your life. It doesn't have any control. Wealth and power needs a kind of discipline, or else discipline saying that enough is enough. I have enough. At this point, I have enough. I'm going to, whatever extra comes in, I'm just going to divert it to a lot of other people. But we know that this is not happening. They're making $100 and they're putting 50 cents for every $100 that Mr. Bezos makes. He puts in like 25 cents in the charity box. $100 for me from the collective productivity of our society, $100 for me as Jeff Bezos. Here is 10 cents in the charity box. That's, relative to, this is basically how they work it. 50 cents. That's what I mean. You have enough wealth. You don't need to make Mr. Warren Buffett and his people and his stockholder and his shareholder and his board of trustees and his family, they're up to here in wealth. I don't think the idea of we have to go make the Iranians poor, I don't think it's going to help Mr. Warren Buffett feel any more wealthier. You see where I'm going with this, sir? The people whom you take orders from, sir, the rich people, the wealthy people, not take orders from, they're your friends. You take suggestions from your friends who are also rich like you. Folks, have you noticed there is no limit? You know, this is an old story that there is no limit to your people. If you don't, you know, if you don't control yourself, it's never enough. It's never going to be enough. You want more, and the more insecure you are, the more you want. And you know, I think it would be nice for, you know, you folks to show us, the rest of the world, that you're not so insecure, that you need more wealth. I mean, 80%, 8 out of 10 wealthiest people in the world live in North America. 8 out of 10. And the other two either live in London or live in Paris. 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest people, what does that mean? That means 80% of the wealth of the world is in North America right now. Whether in the form of, you know, dollars or gold or silver or real estate, whatever it is, or technology. 80% of it is in North America, and you are thinking that how we can go and make those brown people poor so we can get a little richer. Let's make those black people a little more poor, you know, Zimbabwe, Venezuela. Like we need to have the Venezuelan oil in our hand, and we are going to squeeze the Venezuelans until they're willing to relinquish their oil to us, their oil money to us. And once that happens, just like Iraq, we do with Venezuela what we did with Iraq. We want, and by whatever means possible, what we want is Venezuelan oil money coming to New York, and then we write checks, and the Venezuelans bring us invoices, and we write checks for them. But the money has to be with our boys in New York. Why, sir? What makes your boys special, or righteous, or good? Sir, your managers have spilled more blood across the 5 continents during the past 100 years than anybody else. I mean, you killed your way through East Asia, then South Asia, then West Asia. You killed your way through the whole Asia for the past 100 years. You know, you're always trying to help. Madeleine Albright famously said that, yeah, I'm okay with 500,000 Iraqi infants dying of hunger and malnutrition or lack of vaccine. I'm okay with that. There's a price we have to pay. Price we have to pay for what? For the Iraqi oil money to come to New York. The price was 1 million Iraqi babies, the brown babies, and a couple of million casualties of our venture expedition. Folks, you think we don't see this in the rest of the world? We can't think about this, we can't analyze this. Do you think we are blind? I mean, do you want to live at peace with the rest of this planet? If you do, so much greed is not going to bring a lot of peace. It's like the situation with my sister. You could only have peace with my sister if you were willing to relinquish all your goodies. If you are willing to relinquish everything to her, then you can have peace with her. That's a bullying tactic. That's a bullying mindset. I mean, as a human society, don't you feel you should have matured by now? You're still acting as a teenager, as a spoiled kid who wants everything and thinks everybody should relinquish their property, like the brown people in Palestine. They should relinquish their property to the pinkskins from New York. Just like the Saudis should relinquish their wealth and let it go to New York City. You see where I'm going with this? Everybody has to relinquish, give up, bend over for the 10% pink skin upper class. And and the way we see that the upper class, the way they're treating the lower classes in terms of education, housing, and health, that means you don't really give a shit about your own pink skin brethren either. You don't care about your own people. You're literally taking the money that could have built a school for your pink skin underclass. You take that money, you don't build that school, you take that money and you make bombs with it, and you go and destroy the brown people's school. A school that the brown people had put together with a lot of difficulty. You use the money from not building schools for your own people. You use that money, build a bomb, and destroy the school that those motherfuckers built for themselves. Salute. Because Iraq has to relinquish their oil to us, hand it over, give full authority to us to deal in their oil business. Are you kidding me? Why? Because you know who Shakespeare is? Because we're exceptional? Well, I'm sorry, sir, with all the respect, your culture seems to be exceptionally bloody. At least for the past 100 years. You have put your foot exactly in the footsteps of the British and the French in terms of their insatiable appetite for other people's goods. They had this British and the French had this insatiable appetite for other people's land and wealth. And a lot of times the only way you can get other people's land and wealth is if you go and literally kill them and kill their children and kill anybody who has any claim to that land. So then you would be the free and clear owner of the deed. If there's nobody there to claim it, if they're all dead or pushed out, dead is better than being pushed out, because being pushed out, may take generations for people to forget where was their land. Sir, you're still in the business of stocks and real estate. Now, in Asia, Mr. Scott Bessent, you're not seeing the forest from the tree, because you're standing right in front of the tree, and the tree is how I can make myself and my buddies wealthier, because Jesus likes wealth. The new Jesus likes wealth. The Jesus who speaks in tongues likes wealth. The Jesus who spoke plainly, he didn't like wealth, But the Jesus who speaks in tongues likes wealth. Here's the thing, Mr. Scott Bessent. There is no such a thing, although you've been trying to tell your people for forever now that everybody can be wealthy. No, everybody can be wealthy. That doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Every man, every woman has a limited time during the day that they can create an added productivity. And if this added productivity, if they're shortchanged on their added productivity, that's how Mr. Bezos gets very wealthy, because a lot of people are shortchanged of their added productivity. Each Amazon, if in other words, if Amazon was a co-op, if Amazon was a cooperative, each Amazon workers would be taking home, $5,000 a day or $10,000. It's some ridiculous number like that, because the added productivity of Amazon is a lot. It's not a cooperative. It has shareholders, and the shareholders are not the labor. So my point is this, sir. You have enough wealth in your land. You're the wealthiest country in the world. Why would you think it's a good idea to still try to be more wealthy at the expense of brown people and black people and red people and green people? We need to become more wealthy, more wealthy. There is no end to it. If you don't have discipline, there is no end to this wanting of more wealth. I just don't think a lot of people are thinking straight. Just like, the Biden administration, who was willing to go to a nuclear war over mineral rights, over more wealth. And national security is, because people want to get wealthy, suddenly national security, the matter becomes national security. Seriously? Warren Buffett's wealth is a matter of national security. We need to keep Warren happy and his shareholders happy. So that's just a matter. If you define national security as keeping rich people happy and making them wealthier, when rich people get wealthy, they get happy. If making rich people happy and wealthy is your sole objective, and you define who are the bad guys and who are the good guys, who are the bad actors, such a simple terminology that is used just shows that nobody's willing to go into depth in these matters. And why they don't want to go in depth, why such a simple terminology as bad actor and good actor, is because it can't really be defined. Once you start talking about it, you yourself will conclude that they're born on that land and they think they have some rights on their land, and we can't go up their ass and pull their rights out and own their rights. You yourself would, conclude that yes, maybe we don't have the right to do that, but you never do. Nobody ever gets into a conversation about it. None of the NPR or Fox interviews ever, beside Mr. Tucker Carlson, nobody really challenges your assumptions and your presumptions, and nobody challenges these things. As in, like, I've seen just Mr. Tucker Carlson challenged a few, but nobody really challenges. You know, what is this national security? Why do you want, why do you want to, make them poorer? So they submit. They don't. So they're no longer a bad actor. What is a bad actor? The bad act that they're doing is they're arming the natives who don't want to give up their land to a bunch of people, a bunch of Ashkenazi from New York. And that has made them terrorists, and anybody who helped these terrorists are bad actors. The motherfucker doesn't want to give up his land to some people from New York. That doesn't make him a bad guy. It just makes him, a normal person who was born on that land, who thinks he has the right to stay on his land that was handed to him for 10 generations. To some people, some white guys who are obviously from the northern hemisphere, from very cold places, some white guys show up at our door and demand the keys. Give me the keys or I shoot you in the head. This is how the Ashkenazi are behaving in West Asia. European or New York Ashkenazi in West Asia. And anybody who resists is a terrorist, and anybody who helps the terrorist is a bad actor. I'm sorry. If the Arabs were invading New York City and some New Yorkers, let's say, for example, Arabs, turn the thing upside down. If the Arabs were invading New York City and some New Yorkers were fighting back, guerrilla warfare style, if Massachusetts helps the New Yorkers fight back the Arabs, that doesn't make the people of Massachusetts the bad actor, or the people of New York who are fighting back terrorists because some aliens have landed from outer space. Imagine aliens, aliens have landed from outer space and want to take over New York, and some New Yorkers are fighting back in street battle style. And some people from Massachusetts help them, and you tell them, and then aliens say that, you see, these New Yorkers, these are terrorists, they don't want to give up their land and move on, and the people of Massachusetts who are giving them arms, they're bad actors. Here's the simple terminology for simple people. So it's just this just is clear for many on your planet. Information spreads wide, and many people have come to draw the same conclusion that 10% rich white people think they're special and want to own everybody else. Still, they no longer call it slavery, but the whole Arabian Peninsula have turned into your slaves. And you're working your way inland, and you want to turn the rest into your slaves. Slaves don't have the right to own property. That's why Iraqi oil money has to go to New York. Just like a slave owner who decides how much of his wealth he should spend on the welfare of his slaves, that's exactly how you're dealing with the Iraqis. You, a bunch of rich white people, decide how much of Iraqi wealth, how much of wealth that Iraq has generated should be spent on Iraq. You guys never stopped wanting or being slave owners. It's just you expanded the scale. It's the same slave owner mentality, Mr. Scott Bessent. Slave owner mentality that says, I have the right to you, to your wife, to your children. I have the right to your oil, to your minerals, to your lithium. I have the right because I'm a rich white man. Well, some are Jewish, some are Christian. Who cares? But whoever, apparently the group, you guys, you and your buddies, sir, you guys are it. You guys demand the whole thing. Everything, all of it belongs to us. All this money has to end up in New York, and then we distribute this money based on need. Everybody on the planet has to be slaves to 10% rich white folks. That's the objective in this world, correct? In this planet. Yes, sir. It's not logical. It's not going to work out long term. It's bloody. This kind of mentality is very dangerous and bloody, because you think gangsters are living the high life. The problem with gangsters is that they're not really sure the next day they're going to be alive or not. This is the problem with gangster. Gangster lifestyle might seem good and interesting. The problem is a dangerous business. Going around and collecting money and breaking knees if the money is not paid. It has 5,000 U.S. casualties in Iraq War and 50,000 U.S. casualties in Vietnam. This is when the gangster's bluff is called, then the gangster has to either show his card and show it's not a bluff, or back off. And if the gangster is committed and if the gangster is in debt, they probably don't want to back off, as the Biden situation was with Russia. They didn't want to back off, and the next guy said, no problem, I back off, no problem. It's just, but that's Russia, and they have nuclear weapons, and you don't want to really get into a nuclear war, so you back off. And that's the sane thing to do, and thank you very much. Very sane thing to do. But Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons, so let's go bend them over and fuck them up the ass. Because, we can. Let's make them poor so we can make Warren Buffett's children even richer. It's just not logical, sir. I mean, at one point on your planet, you want to advance as a race, and advancing as a race means a little more serenity, a little more humbleness, a little more Buddhism, and a little less Zionism. A little more Buddhism, a little less Zionism, a little less exceptionalism, a little less I have the best penis in town mentality. This righteous mentality that rich white folks have. This is causing a lot of bloodshed on your planet. You kill to have more wealth. You kill for wealth. Basically, rich white people are apparently mostly mercenaries. bad idea. This is not going to help advance your race on this planet, advance life on this planet.